So I'm doing this video talking about Gil Scott-Heron on YouTube. I'm looking at my Instagram if you see me looking back and forth. Um, I'm planning on talking for about an hour because this was always irony. I have a Bob Marley shirt on. It says Bob Marley. Bob, this is this an this shirt is a magazine article from when Marley was shot, um, but he didn't die. Irony connection about Bob Marley and Gil Scott Heron. When Martin Luther, Stevie Wonder held a musical. It was in the '70s, I believe. He held a tour, and they wanted Bob Marley to be on it, but Bob Marley was sick, and they called in Gil Scott Heron to feature at the event. And that event later went on to set the precedent for celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. Uh, and Stevie Wonder doing the "Happy Birthday to You." They sang that at the joint. I never liked that version personally as a birthday song, but I did not know that it was connected to Martin Luther King. So, but we talking about Gil Scott Heron, and I'm doing this kind of thing about top 25 black things. My favorite top 25 black things for Black History Month. But you know, it's real. Us real G's, us real soldiers, we do Black History all day, 24/7, all year. Don't need no month. It's the shortest month, anyways. But I mean, I'm talking about Gil Scott Heron. I feel I gotta start with Gil Scott Heron because I'm a poet by birth, by divine design, and I got a lot of my swag. I got a lot of my swag from Gil Scott Heron. Um, I first got introduced to him myself in college. Me and my bros, we was all writers. We was all trying to rap. I mean, you know, we was all writing, and that's just what we did. And one of my boys, I was talking to him earlier today. I don't even think he know the influence because I probably chased Gil Scott Heron more so than some of my other friends did. But we he sent me a video about Gil Scott Heron talking about something. It's some guy. I don't think I knew I heard the name before, but I didn't know who exactly he was. And I watched it and I could tell like he knew something, like he was on some stuff. Somebody eventually, another cat I met at school, I want to shout him out, Stephen Hicks, because that guy, he was a cool dude to me too. Like we had conversations at the gym, but it stuck with me. Same way Gil Scott Heron stuck with me, I will say. But um, I asked dude Steve Hicks. I heard about that Gil Scott Heron was the creator of the phrase "the revolution will not be televised." But somebody said, I said, "What's Gil Scott Heron's best album?" He said, "Win in America." And I went and I downloaded that album, the whole junk, and I'll be walking around with that junk. I had that CD on me for a while, just bumping it in the whip all the time, and it won't even on like social like Spotify and stuff like that. At that time, it wasn't on those outcast. I mean, even iTunes, it wasn't. Even, I don't know, maybe, but it wasn't available on the internet for some time. Even after when I was on that Spotify, it wasn't even out yet. But Gil Scott Heron wasn't readily available as he is now on the internet for some time, but. Man, Winning America was already the truth. It was a great album. It was actually one of his later albums. It was the first album that he ended up producing. That him and his musical collaborator, Brian Jackson, they produced that for that album. But the irony, Gil Scott Heron took it was the first artist ever signed by Arista Records, and Arista Records later went on to sign everybody. Gil Scott Heron was the first person Arista signed, and then it was Barry Manilow, and then others, and later Outkast. Not Babyface. That was something else. That was LaFace Records. Maybe Arista Records. If you don't know Arista Records, then That's a whole other thing. But Arista Records is big. I mean, they signed Outkast and many other big name artists throughout the '90s, hip hop, R&B, all of that. Gil Scott Heron irony. He was born on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 1949, but he was far from a fool. Educated. He went to school. I don't even know if he ever even finished it and got a degree. He was already gifted. He got a lot of his wisdom from his grandmother, who was obsessed and in love with the poets of Langston Hughes and things of that nature. Born 1949. And parts of me, his story is interesting because he was one of the first children around his area in Tennessee. I think it was when this happened, but when he was in Tennessee, he was one of the first students to go into integrated schools. One of the first of three was Gil Scott Heron, who later went on to be such a poet, such a prolific person. Man, Gil Scott Heron. I mean, everybody knows they should know. His most popularized poem, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Um, Most popular heard version of that poem would probably be I think it was the 1970s. It was dropped in the 1970s take. That was a really based up boom 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 boom, with all of that, with a heavy bass line on it and pushing like that. But it was originally done um, on his small talk to 125th and Lenox. Was a which is a street corner in Harlem, which he said was the most popular city, most important city to Black America at that time, Harlem. But it was a kind of stripped down recording of him doing a bunch of poems, just kind of with some drums. And people who like Kanye West, he would his song Kanye West song "Lost in the Woods, Lost in the World." It sampled "Lost in the Woods" by Bon Iver. But at the end of that song, you had Gil Scott Heron doing a cut from the 125th and Lenox, the 125th and Lenox recording, the "Who Will Survive in America? Who will survive in America? Who will survive in America?" But that was from 125th and Lenox. Gil Scott Heron, he did that one, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." That poem was called a Comment 2, I believe, talking about a lot of things. Gil Scott Heron, he was volatile, but he didn't bite his tongue for anybody. He spoke his mind about everything that he had to say, and he did it. He was talking about race. He was talking about black people, oppression, slavery, but not even old school as slavery. It was very modern, very current with the issues that he was talking about at that time through the 60s. He was big with the black arts movement explosion of the 60s. He was heavily influenced in it, by it, and picked all of that stuff up and ran with it. Gil Scott Heron is considered a bit of a forerunner, the godfather of spoken word, and eventually, hip hop. Um, but he's just like, man, I was learning from everybody else. He was a funny guy. He was such a orator. He would be giving you poems and music and the jazz and everything. He did even that venomous uh, social commentary. But he would be on stage and still telling jokes and man, he was a funny dude. He was a funny dude. Like Gil Scott Heron, why black men don't go to horror movies. Why you don't see boy? He had a joke. Man, this stuff is on Spotify. Now. It's online. Why black men don't? Why you don't see black men in horror movies? It's like black people stay where they supposed to be. I don't go. Why I need to be out on the water chasing the shark? Jaws in the water. I ain't about to go mess with Jaws. He in the water. I ain't got nothing, no business in the water. I ain't messing with Jaws in the water. Oh man, he was funny though, but he would be doing stuff like that. He would be dropping knowledge in the middle of the set just because that's just, I mean, what he had to do. He had something for you and he'd give it to you. to help people. He later had issues with drugs. Um, but he did so much music. Yeah, later had issues with drugs. I was sad. I was personally sad when he passed on May 27, 2011. I was still in college. I was upset. I was, because that was like Godfather. That was my poet father, my pops. Like for real. Like I mean, But some things you all might not know. The influence of Gil Scott-Heron. Everybody knows the Drake and Rihanna song "Take Care." Whole album named "Take Care." That title track "Take Care" samples Gil Scott-Heron, a song that he did around that same time, with the same beat. Honestly, Gil Scott-Heron did a cut. It was a jazz standard. "I'll Take Care of You," and then was dope. Sad thing, it was on his last album before his passing around 2000. I think the album dropped 2010. Like, he was still pushing. That was his thing. That's what he wanted to do. But it was a sad. It sounded sad because his voice was really raspy. It Some of the songs in the album were showed me the first time I most hate a song because it was like an artist that I love, but he sounded like he was in pain. I mean, it wasn't as smooth as "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." It was more, "I know you've been hurt." His voice was real raspy, scratchy even. But what he did, it was original. The original composition was just him playing piano on it. May not have been him at that time, but somebody was playing piano. And then a popular producer around the era who has been the XX of the band, the XX. They're a real cool band. Rihanna has sampled their work many times over. Um, One of the producers from that band, the XX, he sampled the Gil Scott Heron song and turned it and made the beat real smooth and stuff. Essentially, what uh, Drake and Rihanna eventually went on to sing over. The lights have gone out in my home. And so Drake and Rihanna made the video. They sang over shit. Drake and Rihanna sang over the video. They sang over Jamie XX making the song. Um, they sang over the Jamie XX's reproduction of Gil Scott Heron's song, and actually at the end of the song, when you hear I tell you, you don't care. All of that stuff, that's Gil Scott Heron's voice sampled and looped back and ran back over and over, however they do it and go about it. Um, but what is cool, so Gil Scott Heron, he did that, and it was dope. And but what was cool also about him was that he I mean, gosh, it just broke my concentration. I apologize. I'm still going to do this video because I could talk about Gil Scott Heron for an hour. I could very well so. Um, but he was a dope dude. He was very dope. And sometimes you got to do it in the dark. Sometimes power go out and you still got to spit. Sometimes you still got to give the message. Sometimes you still got to go because the message has to be given. Sometimes you got to find the light in the darkness. What was something that was interesting to me, one of my favorite, I love all of this man work. I ain't fronting, bruh. I mean, I could find an angle to appreciate all of his work, even the stuff about drugs. Home is where the hatred is. I don't do hard drugs, but I know the feeling. Um, Johannesburg, you had to give them Johannesburg. What's the word? Johannesburg. Nobody even knew what the word was in the song, because at the end of the song they say, "What's the word? Johannesburg. What's the word? Johannesburg." Like he was saying, "What's the word?" People behind him would say Johannesburg, like James Brown would have. The call and response. But at the time, nobody knew it because they weren't playing his music on the radio because it was too volatile. It was too social commentary. Even black radio stations wouldn't play some of this stuff eventually. But one of my favorites and one of his most influential, Gil Scott-Heron influenced poets, rappers, and especially conscious rappers, Talib Kweli and Common, Mos Def. Funny thing, I was watching a whole documentary about him, and Mos Def and him was wearing the same kind of hat, a little bucket hat that you wear over the joint. Gil Scott-Heron had this song called "Message to the Messengers," kind of talking about how all rappers you gotta you gotta be conscious of what the message that you're putting out. You got this voice that people is going to listen to. You gotta be conscious of the message that you're putting out. And I mean, more or less, a lot more than that. I'm just summarizing that. But what was dope though, he would oh my gosh. I'm about to get there. It's important to me because we have to remember what we teach our children. I was tutoring a student earlier today and reading, an elementary school student at a Christian school. So you would believe that the school is teaching righteousness. I do believe that the school is teaching righteousness. I had a moment where I told the child to, one second. I told
Power on.
the child.
HDMI 1.
I told the child to read. I asked the child to read out loud. I said, "Yo, can you read this out loud?" And he was like, "I don't like reading out loud. I'm hard with that. I'm hard with that kind of thing." I was like, "You could read out loud. It's fun. You could read out loud. You could read it out loud and then enjoy how wonderful your voice sounds, you know?" The kid started reading it like he was retarded. Learning disability, whatever you want. No. He was reading it like he was retarded, like he was stupid. First thing I said to him, "That's how you sound in your head? Is that how you sound in your head?" And then he started to straighten it up and start reading regular. But shit, I'm coming from where people say, I was at work one day reading my tweets or that I post on Twitter, and folk was like, "Why you reading that like you reading a poem?" I'm thinking, that's what it sounds like to me. That's how I wrote it. That's how I sound in my head. Cause I've been all I mean, all I was walking down, I would be walking down the street, up and down the streets when I was in college, listening to Gil Scott-Heron talking. Somebody talking to you. That's the problem. See, that's the problem with today. People got songs to dance to, they got raps to recite, even. I mean, not to take anything from the rappers, but we got all these songs for different moods of drinking and partying, working out, this, that, the third. We ain't got enough for people just talking to you. Somebody need to just talk to your ass sometimes. Everybody working so much, ain't got time to talk to somebody. But I mean, I ain't saying nothing new. Another lesson Gil Scott-Heron taught me was just how you gotta be true to yourself as an artist. I watched another video back in the day. when I was still learning art. What he was saying, but they asked him, "What's a piece of advice that you would give to artists, rappers, and artists that want to grow up to be like you?" He said, listen to as much music as you can. Listen to everything from every genre as much as possible. I actually shot a video on this on my YouTube earlier, talking about the multiplicity of artistic ideas. I don't think that was what it called, but I shot a video damn near a year ago. Um, but he said you gotta listen and learn from as many different people as possible. And the cool thing about his most popularized idea, the revolution will not be televised, as it has been recited, recited over and over in poetry, songs, art, and everything. He said the revolution will not be televised, but that poem is coming from somebody else. That poem was coming from somebody else. It was coming from a poet. Ah, crap. I can't remember his name exactly. Abiodun Oyewale, I believe is the correct pronunciation of his name. Something like that. I read a book by him also. Um, he was one of the lead poets of the group, The Last Poets. The Last Poets, they also featured in a song in the 2000s on a song with they featured on a song with Common and Kanye West, The Corners. Young, young. Yeah, I don't know. The Corners, that was my bread and butter. I first listened to Common, that album B, and it had the Last Poets on there. The Common Corners was the first single off that album, a conscious rap single. Um, but the member of the Last Poets, who were also very dope, they were undeniably dope. More poems they wrote, like "Niggas Are Scared of Revolution," tracks and songs that they put on. This was a song. These are good songs too. But they had a line in there in one of their poems that says something about um, TV. They had a line in one of their poems that said something about that ended something about TV and having to go out and turn off your TV, go out and fight revolution. Something about I can't remember the exact line, but Gil Scott Heron took that idea and expanded it out into the revolution will not be televised. Um, Sometimes you learn from other people. Sometimes good days you learn from other people. Let me turn this TV.
Power on. H. Power off.
Sometimes you learn from other people if you let yourself. But Gil Scott Heron was a great poet. I mean, he said what he wanted to do, what he was addicted to, was writing, creating music, poem, a song, a poem, pages, a story. He wrote books also. Um, he was a blues man. He was a blues man. Man, the blues. He was a bluesologist. Let him call it. Let him tell it. He got the man. You got to see the H2O gate. That was another popular dope blues cut off the Winter in America album. H2O gate blues, Watergate blues. He was talking about the government and the like. Uh, he also went on later to do a big poem that was criticizing big poem was called B Movie that criticized Ronald Reagan and his administration. Um, all of this stuff set precedent for how hip hop became so socially active, such a social commentary. Um, the people weren't hearing it. He was doing it at the time. He was actually a popular artist, traveling and touring and everything like that. But a lot of radios weren't getting it. Eventually, his art trickled down to the rest of the hood, and then the rappers said, "Yo, this message still needs to be heard," and we all continue to push it on. Um, but man, Gil Scott Heron, yo, he was a blues man. You could hear it in his rhythms. He was smooth. He was so smooth, just talking. Man, I ain't even gotta sing it to you. He just be talking on rhythm, smooth as rhythm, jazz rhythms, just like set the tone for what a lot of people later on did. Q-Tip. I mean, Q-Tip in the Tribe Called Quest, all of that. A lot of these people wouldn't have existed if I wouldn't have had that vein to even tap into, myself included, had it not been for Gil Scott-Heron. I appreciate the man. I love the brother. Um, he did what he did. I wish he didn't have as many struggles with drugs. But hey, he said sometimes I win, sometimes I beat it, sometimes it beats me. That was his life. He lived his life how he wanted to. Um, yeah, I'm gonna just do it. I could talk for an hour. My sidetrack. I ain't even got the music on. I want to play the music, but I don't want to put it on, and then the video end up get taken down from YouTube for whatever reasons. So I mean, yo, if you ain't never heard Gil Scott Heron, this stuff is on Spotify. I highly suggest Winter in America. Peep 125th and Linux. I had that one too. You need that one. It's just him talking, playing on the beat, on the con, the djembe, all of those African style drums, but just talking. No, even the drum clap with the one on the two and the four. None of that. Kind of, sorta. I mean, he just had the rhythm. You just got rhythm. You just go with it. You don't even need a beat. I don't need a beat to give you rhythm. The rhythm is in the vocalist, not in the music, because the vocalist falls in with the music. The music is just there. The rhythm is with the vocalist himself, and how you, man. I was blessed to have rhythm before I knew what rhythm was. That's just how I felt. What felt comfortable to me. I've been trying to be like Gil Scott-Heron, but he said, "Don't be trying to be like me. I'm trying to be like Miles Davis." It was a whole joint he had. He was introducing his band. This is blah blah blah. This is why. This is why. This is why. This is why. And I am Miles Davis. Thank you for coming. Miles, a poet out here trying to be Miles Davis. Don't be trying to be like me. I'm trying to be like him. So you got to be like yourself. Don't try to be like your heroes. Try to be like yourself. Because your hero trying to be somebody else. You can learn from them and take from them and make it your own. They want you to. Flattery and imitation. But you got to be yourself. Learn from as many people as you can. And whatever resonates as truth to you, hold on to that truth and talk and live and breathe, write, create from that truth. But it's very much a necessity to learn from as many artists and the like as possible. Whatever it is, whatever your calling may be, learn from as many people that inspire you as possible. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna just do this video about 30 minutes. The thing is, I'm gonna be talking about Prince, and I could talk for a couple of hours about Prince. I need a couple of bottles of water and some daggone. But the irony is, he said the revolution will not be televised. Prince said, "I'm gonna make a band called the Revolution." Prince knew. Prince knew. He felt Gil Scott-Heron. He knew. And then what? And then Prince. Talk about a legacy. But yeah, man. Gil Scott-Heron. I don't even have a poem that I wrote about him. I ain't got a poem I wrote about him so much. I mean, if you know me, you done heard me speak, you could hear Gil Scott-Heron when I talk, when I spit my shit. I got a lot of shit from Gil Scott-Heron. But man, one of my favorites was Peace Go With You, Brother. Open it in Alaikum Salam, Assalamu Alaikum, but it won't about that. Peace go with you. That song was a bit dark. It was about the necessity for the family to be together and other things. It wasn't as a no. One of my favorite feel good songs by Gil Scott-Heron, and I'm happy for him that he made it. I was listening. Heard it. I heard it. I ain't sing. I won't playing the music at first. I heard it. It came to me when I was leaving the school after I finished tutoring. It was Back Home. Name of the song is Back Home. He said, there's been a whole lot said about your city living. Don't you know the street? They told us that the streets were. There's been a whole lot said about your city living. They told us that the streets was paved with gold. Don't you know we believed them and went along and came a looking. But that was just another story that they told. When I get back to see my people someday, some way, don't you know I've been lost and searching for man, like a warm, like a I've been lost and searching for a warm, friendly smile. Don't you know I've been lost and searching for a warm, friendly smile. I never thought that I'd be running through those city streets like a newborn child. But I found me some people and I know that they love me. And I know just where to look this time. And don't you know that everything is working out fine. And man, that was my man Gil Scott-Heron. One time for Gil Scott-Heron, and may you always find your way out of your bottle. Peace, y'all.